I never knew Tudor England's unbelievable secrets could be so heartbreaking. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. There I stood, heart racing, when the rumors took form. Whispers flittering like moths in a dark room. Secrets hidden for centuries were beginning to spill. Everyone around me was buzzing with tales of betrayal. Talk of love lost and lives shattered. I felt it deep in my chest, a tightness, a shudder that made me stumble. How could history hold such devastating truths? It was a typical grey morning in London, buildings looming like shadows. I wasn't ready for what I would discover. My fingers trembled as I clutched the tattered letter, damp with fear. It spoke of Henry VIII's hidden knowledge, an affair that could alter our understanding of power. My heart pounded. This was no ordinary scandal. It was the essence of heartbreak. That why Mother raised me on stories of the past, her voice dripping with pride as she recounted the tales of our ancestors. But now, those stories felt like lies. Scandalous secrets of Anne Boleyn and Thomas More, lives crushed under the weight of jealousy and ambition. I could still hear her laughter echoing in my mind, a stark contrast to my heavy heart. I remembered her eyes shining with passion, teaching me that love was something to fight for. Did she know? Did she understand the price of knowledge? The streets were dim, the air thick with tension. My best friend, Margaret, stood beside me, her face pale as she heard the news. "Do you understand what this means?" she whispered, her breath shaky. I wanted to tell her I did. That I grasped the enormity of betrayal. But deep inside, fear swallowed my voice whole. As we walked toward the tavern, the thick scent of ale and firewood filled my lungs. My stomach churned. What if it was true? What if the rumors held even a fraction of reality? I had to know. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown. We slipped through the creaking door, eyes darting amidst shadows, searching for clues. Then I saw him, a man who was supposed to be a friend. Sir Edward, a charming smile painted across his lips. He was in the middle of a conversation with a group, laughter spilling out like a secret. But when he noticed me, his smile faltered, a flicker of guilt. My breath caught. What truth lay behind that facade? The crowd hushed, sensing the air shift, time suspended as I stepped closer. "What do you know?" I demanded. I could feel the weight of the room, eyes turning, contemplating. A chill swept through me. For a moment, I thought I might faint. My palms grew clammy. Edward's gaze was unreadable, his lips pressed into a thin line. "Some things are better left buried," he finally said. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. I felt my world tilt on its axis. How deep did this rabbit hole go? What had I uncovered that should have remained in the shadows? I could barely breathe, heart racing in response to the tension crackling around me. The laughter faded, replaced by a haunting silence. And then it happened. A sudden voice from the back. "Not everything is as it seems, dear friend." It was old Eliza, her eyes glinting with secrets. "Sometimes the truth is more terrible than fiction," I gasped, feeling the earth shift once more beneath me. My mind raced, trying to decipher the layers of deception. What could she possibly reveal? And at what cost? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tavern's dim light seemed to pulse in rhythm with my racing heartbeat. Eliza's words sent shivers down my spine, echoing like a riddle I was struggling to solve. I wanted to step back, retreat into the comfort of ignorance, but curiosity tethered me firmly to the ground. "What do you mean?" I could barely manage the words, hardly trusting my voice, she stepped forward, her frail form cast in shadows, but her eyes sparkled with a dangerous intensity that drew us all in. "The truth you seek is buried under layers of deceit, child. What you wish to uncover may very well destroy you." Her voice, though gentle, carried the weight of centuries, each syllable a thread that tugged at my already frayed nerves. Margaret's hand gripped my arm, a silent plea for caution. In that moment, she was the voice of wisdom drowning in a tempest of intrigue. I turned my gaze away from Eliza and back to Sir Edward, whose expression had darkened, now filled with an urgency that sent a jolt through my veins. "Eliza, stop this madness," he said, his tone fierce yet desperate, as if he feared the memories she might stir. "You cannot drag her into this." I was on the edge of something monumental, a precipice of knowledge that could unveil hidden histories and lay bare betrayals that shaped kingdoms. Yet the fractured look upon Edward's face reminded me that not all truths were a blessing. The very thought of knowing what lay beneath the surface filled my chest with a swirling mix of fear and exhilaration. "Sometimes, ignorance is truly a blessing," he warned softly, his eyes pleading with me to reconsider. "Or it's a prison," I shot back instinctively, emboldened by the weight of the moment. His gaze broke, and I felt a flicker of empathy for the man I called a friend. How many secrets had he kept? How much blood had stained a heart that never asked for this turmoil? Eliza stepped closer again, drawing my attention back to her. She leaned in conspiratorially, as if sharing a secret only the most audacious could comprehend. Many lives were intertwined in the tapestry of ambition, but one thread leads to a woman. Her voice dropped to a murmur. "Mary Tudor. What if I told you she paid the price for an alliance that never bore fruit?" I felt a heavy weight settle over my chest. Uncertainty danced in my thoughts, colliding with anxiety. Mary? But she was. I struggled to find my voice, memories of history books blurring in my mind. She was a sister, a queen, wasn't she? A queen who gave away her birthright for the sake of love and was met with nothing but heartache. Eliza's words were laced with loss. Each syllable pulled at the threads of my own heart, weaving a tale that felt hauntingly familiar. She was the forgotten one, cast aside to make room for power just as many have been forgotten for the sake of ambition. In that moment, I felt an ebbing pulse, resonating with my own hidden desires. Love amid ambition, betrayal woven into the very fabric of existence. The truth was exposing itself like a wound I didn't know I had, raw and aching. "I need to know more," I whispered, determined, emboldened by the glimmer of Eliza's revelations. This was no longer merely about the past, it was about uncovering the legacy that intertwined with my own life and that of generations. But as I prepared to press for more, the tavern door swung open abruptly, and the chill of the outer world seeped in. A man entered, his form masked by the shadows, but as he approached, recognition sliced through my haze of focus. It was him, a figure I'd seen only in faded portraits, a haunting echo of history itself. "Lady," he said, his voice smooth yet tumultuous, slicing through the heavy air. "I believe you've stumbled upon secrets meant to remain hidden." I gasped. There stood the ghost of history, a bearer of truth and treachery. The tension thickened, a fragile thread poised to snap, and the weight of the moment settled upon me like a shroud. What twisted revelation was he about to unveil? Would it strengthen my resolve, or shatter everything I thought I understood? The air grew heavy with expectation, and I felt the weight of history bearing down upon me, each second stretching like a taut line across time. The tavern seemed to close in around me, the flickering candlelight dancing across the man's face. Each moment felt stretched, each breath an echo of a sordid past lodged somewhere between our two worlds. The unseen weight of every soul who had wandered here before was palpable, a quiet audience waiting for the next act. "Secrets," I finally managed to say, my own voice sounding foreign to me, as if it belonged to someone else. "What do you know about the past that Eliza hasn't?" he said. The man leaned forward, and despite the fear clawing at my insides, curiosity pulled me ever closer. He had the sharp features I had only seen sketched in history books, noble yet haunted, as if carved by the same anguish that draped over the room like a lover's embrace. My name is Thomas, he said, his voice weaving into the tapestry of the moment. And I have truths of my own, unmarked by time's steady hand. He paused, allowing the words to linger, wrapping me in anticipation. But be warned, the truths I bear hold the power to unravel what you hold dear. Margaret shifted beside me, the current of tension palpable even to her. Sir Edward stepped forward, his protective instincts flaring. No, Thomas. Whatever you claim to know is laced with danger. You mustn't involve her. His gaze was fierce, yet it mirrored an underlying fear that perhaps he was more aware of these secrets than he dared let on. That I turned to face Edward, desperation flaring inside me. But I have to know. I can't turn away from this now, not when I'm on the brink of understanding something greater, something that could change everything. I expected him to argue, to shout or to shove me back into the shadows of safety, but instead, I caught a glimpse of a man wrestling with his own demons. You really think the past is a treasure trove? He said, his voice cracking with suppressed emotion. Sometimes, it is a tomb. Mary Tudor was buried, yes. But her story lived on in the shadows, twisted and tortured, like so many others, Thomas interjected, almost solemnly. She sought alliance, but what was given in exchange was betrayal, her own sister's ambition snatching everything she held precious. His eyes sparkled with unshed memories, a glimmer of heartbreak etched into the corners of his existence. What do you mean? I dared to ask, feeling the air grow heavier with the weight of potential revelations. What happened to her? To those who stood by her. There were words exchanged that night, he continued, the night she sacrificed her happiness for the crown. Words that left loose ends and bitter hearts, and yet it's these very threads that bind us all. His gaze bore down on me, and for a moment, I felt trapped in the web of his revelations. Your own legacy, if you dare to peel back the layers, could lead to a truth you will never wish to unsee. I wanted to scream, to beg him to divulge all of it, each secret bubbling just beneath the surface. What have you kept locked away, Thomas? What do you want from me? Thomas hesitated, his expression shifting as he weighed my determination against the caution that seemed to hold him captive. I want you to see the unflinching reality, to know how ambivalence and love can be fatal. There were sacrifices made to protect the throne, sacrifices that left echoes, gasps, pained cries hollowing out the corridors of history. Tell me about Mary, I urged, defiance lifting my chin. Hope mingled with curiosity, effervescent, kindling a fire I couldn't extinguish. What must I know to truly understand this entangled web? The tension reached its peak, and in the next moment, the tavern door burst open again, this time letting in a torrent of cold air, rattling the wooden beams above us. A woman stepped in, breathless, her garb was stained and torn, frayed at the edges as if she fought against the very wind itself. He's coming for you. She cried, her voice barely above a whisper yet heavy with urgency. You must leave, now. Flee before he discovers where you are. A chill ran down my spine while all eyes turned toward her, disbelief and dread mingling in the air. Edward, visibly shaken, turned to me, and I saw the unmasked terror in his expression. You need to listen to her. You must, but the words faded away as the shadows around us coalesced into something darker, something tangible, as if the very fabric of the past was reaching for me, threatening to drag me under. I felt torn between the haunting call of the truth, one that promised to free me, and the imminent danger looming just outside those tavern doors. What have I done? I whispered, the weight of that simple question probing through my heart. The search for clarity threatened to consume me, and I was caught, spinning helplessly in the threads of fate. Would I find my way to the truth, or would it unravel everything I held dear? With the room closing in, I stood at the cusp of an unbearable choice, my world tilting precariously with each moment that flickered by, waiting to shatter with a single decision. The woman, with her wild eyes and battered clothing, stepped back cautiously, her sudden presence breaking the charged atmosphere like a fragile glass shattering under pressure. You don't understand. He's not just hunting for you. He needs something only you can provide, she pleaded, her breath hitching as if even uttering those words caused her pain. "Who is this he?" I demanded, the pit of my stomach churning as dread pooled inside me. I glanced at Edward, seeking reassurance in the familiar warmth of his gaze, but there was only an encroaching darkness reflected there. Thomas, too, maintained a fearful distance, his eyes darting to the door as if the shadows themselves conspired against him. "There are forces at play that you cannot fathom. They are intertwined with the very history you seek," he warned, his voice lower, almost conspiratorial. Margaret, keeping her head down, hugged her arms tighter around herself, bracing against the cold whisper of the room, and for a moment, I felt utterly alone, adrift amidst the encroaching storm. "What do you know about me?" I cried, my voice cracking with a mixture of helplessness and fury. "What does anyone want with me?" The woman took a step closer, her expression softening with a hint of compassion. "You carry her blood," she breathed, her tone reverent. "Mary's blood runs thick in your veins. The stakes are higher than you realize. Your past isn't mere shadow, it's a living entity, eager to reclaim what it believes is rightfully its." Their words sank deep inside me, igniting an unsettling rush of disbelief and a latent longing I didn't want to confront. The weight of the lineage my family had kept hidden, the lineage connected to a woman burnt by ambition, suddenly felt like a noose tightening around my throat. "Mary Tudor?" I echoed, recognition sparking as if the name glimmered with a distant echo of a long-lost tale. The woman nodded gravely, and I felt a chill steal over me. My breath came quicker as the reality of her lineage pressed against my heart, clenching it tightly. "But that's just history long gone. What does my blood have to do with a killer on the loose?" "Everything," Thomas interjected, stepping closer to me until there was little distance left. His voice was soft yet firm, resonating with a quiet urgency. "The sacrifices made for the crown in her time, the betrayal, it forged an unbreakable chain. They are still lingering in the darkness, waiting to reclaim their legacy. Then we must fight back," I said, a tremor of defiance lacing my words. The thought of kneeling before a past I didn't choose sent a shudder through me. I wanted to stand tall, not cower in the face of specters who long since faded into obscurity. "You do not understand the risks." Edward stepped forward, his protectiveness simmering on the surface. "The past is not a battlefield, it is a minefield, and every step you take could lead you deeper into danger." Enough," I interrupted. I was tired of the weight of their caution. "For too long, I've been running from the truth, and now when it's within reach, you want me to turn away? I can't not now." Suddenly the door swung wider, revealing the night cloaked in an unsettling silence, punctured only by the howl of wind beyond. The tavern felt dangerously confined, and the air seemed charged with something sinister. The woman pressed a hand to my shoulder, grounding me. "If you choose this path, you must understand that understanding one's heritage is a two-edged sword. It can raise your foundations or illuminate your way. But be wary, not everyone you meet will wield knowledge as a means of healing." "Who then?" I asked, searching her gaze for honesty, desperate for a flicker of guidance. "Who can I trust?" Her expression shifted as if a realization pulled at the corners of her worn features. "There are allies, but they hide in shadows. And you'll find that those who appear to be enemies may yet prove to carry a deeper bond to your fate." Before I could press further, a figure stepped into view from behind the woman, a silhouette wrapped in midnight and mirth. I gasped when I recognized him, the face I had seen fleetingly in a moment of panic just days before. The man I never expected to see again was here, drawing shadows behind him as he sauntered forward, a devil-may-care grin painted across his lips. "Surprised to see me, love?" he said nonchalantly, yet the glint in his eye hinted at chaos lurking just beyond the surface. "I hear there's trouble brewing, and I have a knack for stirring the pot." The tension spiraled tighter, and all eyes turned toward him. I felt my heart race with a mix of confusion and apprehension. "You! What are you doing here?" His laughter echoed like a ghost, and for a fleeting moment, it sliced through the dread hanging heavily in the air. "Came to lend a hand against the inevitable," darling. Or maybe just for the chaos I am not picky. Then, as if pulled by an unseen force, he pointed toward the door, where shadows began to swirl, coalescing into forms that sent a shiver racing down my spine. But make haste, danger doesn't linger, and tonight, it's hot on your heels. My world spun dangerously, and within the chaos of urgency, confusion, and the rising tide of history, I knew one thing: a revelation was rushing forth, a truth bound to change everything I thought I knew. As I stood on that precipice, a sense of foreboding washed over me. I was no longer just an observer of history, I was about to become part of it. Would I be swept away, or would I find the strength to confront the storm awaiting me? The air grew dense with the echo of whispered secrets, folding around us like a shroud. I felt my pulse quicken as the man's presence ignited both apprehension and an unexpected spark of familiarity. In the flickering torchlight, his features danced like shadows, the playful grin that had once seemed so disarming now held an unsettling edge. "Move back," Edward warned, instinctually stepping in front of me, his body a protective barrier against the darkly charming figure. "What do you really want?" "Me." The man feigned innocence, but there was something dangerous lurking just behind his eyes. "Perhaps I merely crave some entertainment. Or maybe I'm here to help you, love," he said, casting a sidelong glance toward the woman still clutching my shoulder. "After all, it doesn't seem like you have the faintest idea of the game you've just entered." "Enough." I broke in, the weight of uncertainty coiling tightly in my chest like a snake ready to strike. "If you're here to lend a hand, why don't you tell us how?" His grin widened, amusement dancing like firelight in his gaze. "You really want to know? You'd need a key first, a key to unlock what has been hidden away. And that key lies within the depths of your history." Before I could respond, the oppressive atmosphere shifted. From beyond the door, thick tendrils of darkness twisted impossibly, creeping into the tavern like phantoms come to reclaim something long lost. I felt a chill run down my spine as they snaked around the room, tangible and menacing. "Out of options, are we?" The man purred, his voice dripping with a sickly sweetness. "But don't fret. The night holds many secrets." In that moment, I could feel Thomas's hand on my back, steady and supportive, while Margaret's heartbeats thrummed in time with my own. Their presence was a light amid the consuming shadows. "What secrets?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, fear and anticipation warping time. A part of me yearned to know, while another part recoiled from the dire implications. "The ones that come with blood, your blood. But first, you'll need to decide what you truly want, love. Power to confront your lineage or blind ignorance?" He stepped closer, the air vibrating with unspoken temptations laced within his words. My heart wrestled with conflicting desires. I had spent a lifetime shunning my family's history, yet here it was, the mere mention of Mary conjuring both the glory and tragedy of her reign. There was power buried in that truth, but at what cost? "Please," I implored, looking at each of them. "I want to protect the ones I love. I want to save yourself." Edward interjected, his voice heavy with concern. "This isn't just some twisted game. If you open that door to your past, it might destroy you." The man's expression turned serious, for one fleeting moment. "You mistake the past for a simple play. It is a tempest, choose wisely, and within that storm, you may find clarity. Or you may end up just like her." He gestured toward the woman, who stood quietly absorbing the tension, her haunted eyes revealing pieces of the history I wanted to escape. "Mary chose her path, didn't she?" I whispered, the weight of her legacy pressing against my heart. "And now it haunts me." With a sharp inhale, the woman spoke, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with a tinge of sorrow. "It's more than her alone. Generations have embedded their ghosts within you, guiding each choice, each breath. The cycle, it craves resolution, and perhaps so do you." The door rattled as if something was trying to force its way in, and the shadows began to swirl violently, drawn toward me. The room trembled in response, as if the walls themselves felt the weight of my impending choice. I can help you find the key, the man said, stepping back as the darkness writhed. But you must trust me, and trust in what you carry. Do you have that strength? The icy grip of reality tightened. I felt the fissures within my heart balance precariously on the edge of hope and fear. A chill wind gusted into the tavern, twisting shadows around me, and I could feel their pull, a call that resonated with a deep-rooted desire to uncover hidden truths. But then, as if summoned by my very thoughts, a tremor of urgency erupted from outside. A breathy whisper, barely audible, slipped through the crack in the door. "Help me, I can't breathe!" Panic erupted like flames. I shot toward the door, compelled by the voice and instinctual compassion, but an iron grip pulled me back. It was Edward, fear etched on his face. "No. We can't risk it." The voices continued, a cacophony echoing from the shadows, mingling anguish and a familiar desperation. My heart raced, torn between wanting to help whoever was calling and the necessity of protecting those already beside me. Whoever was out there, entangled with the dark, was yet another thread of the unraveling mystery. But did I dare to reach for it? As I wrestled with my thoughts, the shadows lunged forward, filling the air with an overwhelming urgency. The man smirked at the chaos, eyes glimmering with mischief and something darker. "Time to make a choice, love." And in that moment, clarity struck like a lightning bolt, illuminating the night. I didn't just want to learn the secrets of my heritage, I wanted to fight for those I cared about. But what was the price of that fight? What awaited me on the other side? The door shuddered as the whispers intensified, wrapping around my mind until they became a palpable force, suffocating yet alluring. With every shred of courage I had left, I took a step toward the door. As I reached for the handle, time paused, and in that breathless silence, I could feel the weight of the past behind me, the shadows beckoning. Whatever awaited me on the other side, revelation or destruction, salvation or despair, I would face it head-on. With the world collapsing around me, I opened the door to the unknown and stepped forward into the darkness. Unbeknownst to me, a truth buried deep within my heart began to coil. I would soon discover if I was destined to be a savior or merely the catalyst for my own undoing. The world outside the door was not what I expected. A heavy fog enveloped me, thick as the shadows that had loomed in the tavern, but the air was alive with muffled cries and fading echoes that prickled my skin. My heart thudded in my chest as I squinted into the gloom, desperate to find the source of the pleas that lingered like ghosts. I took a hesitant step forward, my footing uncertain on the cobblestone path that led me deeper into the night. The familiar figures of Edward, Thomas, and Margaret were swallowed by the swirling mist behind me, their voices muffled like distant thunder. "Stay close!" Edward shouted, and I felt a tug of remorse for leaving them, but the urgency of the cries compelled me onward. "Help me please!" The voice was deeper now, more defined, yet still tangled in fear. It gripped my heart, drawing me toward an alleyway that was thick with shadows. As I crossed the threshold, the damp air carried with it a whisper I recognized. It echoed my own suppressed fears and denied truths that I rounded the corner, noticing a figure huddled against the wall. They were cloaked in rags, their body trembling, face obscured in the dim light. I approached slowly, darkness curling around my feet, cautious yet hopeful. "Who are you?" I found my voice, though it sounded braver than I felt. Just a shadow, like you," the figure rasped, raising a trembling hand to reveal a streak of crimson across their palm. "But I can help you. If you can help me." Despite the desperation in their voice, unease gripped me. "What do you need?" "I need the key," they said, pain etched into every syllable. "The key to break the cycle, the one intertwined with your blood. If you want to save those you care about, we must join forces." As those words hung between us, I felt a surge of instinctive protection flare within. Thomas, Margaret, my heart raced at the thought of their safety entangled with the decisions I made now. "But how do you know about me?" The question hung in the air, charged with a mix of curiosity and fear. "I am one of many who have suffered under the weight of your lineage. Mary's legacy binds us all." A flicker of recognition glimmered in their eyes, reminiscent of the woman from the tavern, but twisted by sorrow. "Embrace the truth, and you can end the cycle." My heart sank, the heavy weight of generational suffering and my potential role in it crushed me. End the cycle? I repeated, feeling the ground shift beneath me, as if reality was reshaping itself. What exactly do you mean? But before they could respond, the shadows around us thickened, almost purposeful, as if a presence was vying for my attention. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, wrapping itself around my thoughts. You must choose, quickly. The figure urged, their voice trembling with urgency. My mind was racing, processing the magnitude of what was at stake. Part of me wanted to run back to the safety of the tavern, where the warmth of my friends awaited, where the past could stay buried. But the other part, the part that had awakened something deep inside me, screamed to step forward. What will happen if I refuse? I asked, knowing full well that retreating could seal their fate and perhaps my own. You will doom us all to repeat the mistakes of history. I cannot escape without you, the figure whispered, desperation etching lines into their brow. Mary's blood calls to you, and only together can we locate the key before the shadows consume everything. Suddenly, a surge of compassion flared within me, igniting a flicker of hope. Maybe I could break free from the chains of my ancestry to wield the past not as a burden but as a tool for change. Show me, I said, my resolve crystallizing. Show me the way to the key. In an instant, the figure's demeanor shifted, shadows swirled around them, revealing a path forward, illuminated by spectral light. Follow closely. It leads to the truth, but tread carefully, the darkness may try to pull you back. You must remain focused on the light of those you love. As we moved deeper down the alley, I looked back at the tavern, now a fading figure. Against the encroaching fog. I felt the heaviness of a choice left unmade resting on my shoulders, but I was out of time. With every step into the unknown, I reaffirmed my resolve, I would confront my lineage. I would fight for my friends. Yet that nagging sense of dread wouldn't leave me. Just as I turned my gaze back to the shadowy figure beside me, a voice loomed in the stillness, echoing through the alleys and striking fear into my heart. You cannot escape your destiny. The truth will find you no matter where you hide. Ice settled in my veins as I thought about all that had happened, the unseen web pulling me toward an unshakable fate. Behind that statement lay an unmistakable thread of warning, a reminder that choice often comes at a cost, especially when tangled with the past. And so, with uncertainty and dread spiraling within, I stepped deeper into the heart of darkness, resolved yet terrified, ready to unlock the hidden secrets that could either save me or condemn me to a fate worse than I ever could have imagined. The air thickened as we moved deeper into the alley, shadows undulating around us like a living thing, swirling closer, eager to swallow us whole. The figure beside me, a mere flicker of hope in an overwhelming darkness, pressed on, their voice barely above a whisper. The key lies at the heart of the old chapel, beneath the forgotten stones where Mary rested. With each step, the residual echoes of fear seeped into my bones. The chapel. The stories whispered in the tavern returned, tales of secrets buried with the past, veiled behind crumbling stones and weary spirits. Yet alongside my fear, a flicker of purpose burned within me. If I was truly destined to face my lineage, to confront the sins and shadows that haunted Mary's name, then I would not falter. What will we find there? I asked, my throat dry. Truth, the figure replied, faltering slightly as if grappling with the weight of their own words. But truth can be a double-edged sword. What you discover there may shatter everything you believe. The thought sent chills down my spine, but the worry of my friends Edward, Margaret, and Thomas made every ounce of fear feel light. They were worth the truth, worth the risk of heartbreak. As we entered a clearing shrouded in fog, a shadow loomed in the distance, the chapel, its stone structure nearly lost to the mist as if nature itself had attempted to reclaim it. Stay close, my companion instructed me, their hand grasping my arm tightly. The atmosphere here it's charged. Many souls linger, tied to regrets and memories. I nodded, feeling the prickling sensation of eyes watching us from the shadows, remnants of torment mingling with hope. It struck me then just how intertwined our fates had become, and a flicker of doubt crept into my heart. What if I wasn't capable of carrying the weight of truth? What if uncovering Mary's legacy consumed the fragile goodness left in my own life? As we neared the chapel, we were met with a decrepit door barely hanging from its hinges, a portal to whatever awaited us inside. The figure hesitated, their breathing uneven. "Are you ready?" I took a deep breath, placing my hand against the cold wood. In that moment, I felt a warmth at my back, the distant echo of laughter, the glimmering hope of those I cherished. "I have to be," I whispered. Swallowing the lump in my throat, I pushed the door open. The air inside was stale, laden with a scent that hinted at long-forgotten prayers. Dust motes danced in the sparse light filtering through cracked windows, illuminating the remnants of a place steeped in sorrowful history. An altar lay crumbled at the front, strewn with decayed flowers and brittle parchment. My heart raced as I stepped inside, every instinct screaming to turn back, to retreat to the safety and warmth of the tavern. Over here, the figure beckoned, leading me to a stone slab embedded within the chapel floor. Ancient and cracked, it pulsed with an energy that felt both terrible and magnetic. "The key is beneath this." As they knelt down, their fingers brushed the stone, and a violent wind surged through the chapel, extinguishing the little light that remained. I stumbled backward, panic rising. The darkness was pressing down on me, closing in like a predator. "What is happening? Hold on!" They shouted, their voice strained as they began to shift the stone. "We're awakening something that should have remained hidden." The room trembled, dust filtering down like rain as cold wind whipped around us. I could hear whispers shrieking through the shadows, taunting my fears and doubts, igniting memories of laughter tainted by sorrow. Just then, a split in the stone opened, revealing a small obsidian chest gleaming yet ominous. "Quickly, take it," the figure urged, their voice muffled against the chaos enveloping the room, but as my hand reached toward the chest, a shriek echoed through the chapel, a wounded cry that felt all too familiar. "No! This doesn't belong to you." A figure materialized from the shadows, their face shrouded in darkness but unmistakably filled with fury. "A guardian," my companion breathed. Panic flooding their eyes. "We must leave." But before I could react, a wave of recognition washed over me, sending an electric shock through my veins. "No, it can't be," I gasped. The shadowed figure stepped closer, revealing fleeting features that twisted anguish and rage into something painfully familiar. "Your blood is tainted, just like hers." It screamed, and the recognition hit me harder than the chill of the chapel. "You cannot break the cycle. You are bound to her destiny." With every breath, panic clawed up my throat. I stared at the chest, the key that could change everything, yet all I felt was dread spiraling into despair. The words echoed in my mind. "What darkness do I carry? What did Mary do?" And just as fear gripped me, a flicker of loyalty surged, a mantra of determination clashed against the shadows swarming. I reached out again, my fingers brushing the obsidian, when the world around me erupted in shifting shadows and cacophonous cries. "Run!" My companions screamed, their voice lost in the tempest, but determination stiffened my resolve. As I snatched the chest and turned to flee, a piercing shriek resonated between us, a sound that sent shivers through me, one that chilled my very essence. Despair rose, thick as the fog from earlier, suffocating and insatiable. I ran, propelled by survival, but in the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of the figure's face, a mirror of my own terror. I had opened a door I wasn't prepared to walk through, but now, there was no turning back. I knew the truth awaited beyond darkness, and with it, the choice that could save us all or plunge us deeper into despair. In that moment, I felt the weight of a cycle unbroken pressing upon my shoulders, ushering me into a fate I could not begin to comprehend. The dust settled around us as I stumbled out of the chapel, chest clenched tightly in my hands. The wind breathed its icy breath across my skin, the shadows dissipating behind me like a waking nightmare refusing to be forgotten. My feet, as if possessed by instinct, urged me forward through the alley, away from the haunting echoes of despair that filled the chapel. I had seen the guardian, the manifestation of all the fears Mary had carried, now directed at me. How could this be my fate? My lineage, the very fabric of my being threaded into the fabric of her tragedy. The echoes of the guardian's chilling voice reverberated in my mind, binding me to a past I never chose. Questions swirled relentlessly, igniting worry in places I thought were safe. Did I possess the same darkness? Was I fated to repeat her sins? The figure that had guided me stepped closely, their presence a brief balm to my fraying nerves. We need to regroup. Find the others, they said, urgency bleeding through every syllable. I barely nodded, mind thrumming, limbs shaking. The alley opened up, the weight of the darkness clinging ever so close as we made our way back toward the tavern where our friends awaited, oblivious to the storm brewing within me. Each step felt monumental as dread mingled with a desperate hope that perhaps Edward, Margaret, and Thomas could anchor me, remind me of who I used to be. Perhaps they could help me decipher the truths that now felt like lead in my chest. As we approached the door to the tavern, the warmth of flickering candlelight spilled onto the cobbled stones, promising safety. I hesitated for a moment on the threshold, the weight of the obsidian chest pressing into my palm as if urging me to either hide it or reveal it. Sarah. Thomas greeted me, his face lighting up with a smile that faded upon seeing my ghostly expression. You look heavily burdened, Edward interrupted, narrowing his eyes in concern. What happened? I drew a shaky breath, knowing the walls I was bracing to put up wouldn't withstand the force of truth. Yet I had to share what I could, I owed them that much. We found answers. But they came with warnings. Mary's past, it's bound to mine. I saw, something. Someone. I hesitated again, searching for the right words. A guardian appeared. They said my blood is tainted, just like hers. Gasps rippled through the gathered friends, their eyes flickering with concern and confusion. What does that mean for you? Margaret asked softly, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I don't know. The admission felt heavy, like sinking into quicksand. I'm terrified it means I'm doomed to repeat her mistakes. The darkness, what if it consumes me too? In that moment, I felt a hand on my shoulder, anchoring me to the present. It was my companion, grounding me in a sea of chaotic thoughts, and for the briefest second, hope glimmered in their eyes. The past doesn't have to define you. It's a part of your story, not the whole of it. I hesitated, the words caught in my throat. You don't understand. What if discovering the truth leads to destruction? What if I am too late to break the cycle? Margaret stepped forward, resolve evident in her stance. Then we face it together. We have each other, Sarah. You're not alone in this. Whatever you face, we'll face it with you. Their unwavering support enveloped me like a warm embrace. My heart swelled with a mix of gratitude and despair, but before I could respond, instinct propelled me to glance at the intrigues swirling outside the tavern's windows. There, amidst shadows, stood a figure, a silhouette just outside the light, watching intently, almost with a malignant sense of hope. I stiffened, my grip tightening on the obsidian chest. Wait, someone else out there. Panic coursed through me as I yanked open the door, wanting nothing more than to confront the looming threat. My friends rushed behind me, each of their breaths approaching in panicked whispers. The figure remained distant, partially cloaked in darkness. Sarah! My companion shouted, tugging at my arm. Don't, but it was too late. I stepped fully into the cool air, straining to make out any features. Then, with surprising clarity, the light of the lanterns ignited in the street and the figure emerged from the shadows. Mary? My heart plummeted as I whispered her name. The figure's smile was ghostly, ethereal, and masked with sorrow. It bore a striking resemblance to my own face but twisted by years of torment. I staggered back, mouth agape, as the truth began to crystallize, palpable and terrifying. Your blood has awakened me, Mary's spectre whispered, the sadness in her voice encircling us all. But your choices lie ahead. Can you redefine our legacy? Shocked whispers echoed through the tavern as the tempest within me surged, caught between despair and the glimmer of an unfathomable choice. Hope trembled on the horizon, yet darkness lurked, coiled and ready. As Mary's apparition approached, I felt time slow and fears whisper sweet nothings in my ears. This was it, I stood on the cusp of a revelation that could fracture our destinies forever. In that moment, I realized the key may not just be within the chest but in the decisions I was now forced to make. The shadows deepened, and I could hear the echoes of my heartbeat drumming louder, summoning the need to face the truth unfettered by fear. The endgame was unfolding, and the next step I took could either seal our fates or liberate us. The chill of Mary's presence lingered in the air, a spectral reminder of the past woven into the fabric of my being. I stood at the threshold, heart racing, teetering on the edge of revelation and dread. My friends clustered protectively behind me, their faces mere shadows against the backdrop of my turmoil. "Why are you here, Mary?" I called out, my voice shaky but resolute. The question hung in the air, a dare against the weight of history pressing down on us all. Her lips curled into a sorrowful smile, the kind born from knowing all too much but being able to convey so little. "To guide you, Sarah. You've awakened what was long dormant, but knowledge must lead to action. The time for reckoning is at hand." "What do you mean? What am I meant to do?" Each word trembled as it left my lips, grappling with the gravity of our intertwined legacies. The obsidian chest pulsed in my grip, an ancient rhythm resonating with hidden truths I longed to unearth yet feared to confront. "Your choices will shape everything," she murmured, gliding closer. "But first, you must unburden yourself. Your fears, your secrets, let them be known. What if it leads to my ruin? What if I am bound to fall into the same darkness?" I cried out, desperation painting my tone with a restless vibrancy. "You are more than just your blood," she said, her form shimmering as though a breeze rustled through her, flickering between despair and resolve. "You possess the power to rewrite our story, to break the cycle. The Guardian is real, but so is your courage." "Courage?" I echoed, laughing hollowly. "I feel like I'm drowning in doubt. I don't know how to start." Before she could respond, Edward stepped beside me, grounding my spiraling thoughts. "We'll stand by you, Sarah. Whatever you decide, we'll face it together." His voice, warm with conviction, wrapped around my uncertainty, creating a tenuous bridge to a path forward that I turned to my friends, their expressions earnest and unwavering, each willing to embrace the unknown alongside me. For a moment, fluttering hope surged in my chest. Perhaps this gathering storm would not sweep me away after all. Mary's ghostly eyes sparkled with unspent tears. "Remember, even in darkness, there are sparks. Look for them, hold on to them. You are not alone." "Then how do I find these sparks?" I asked, a tentative ember igniting within me. What if breaking the cycle meant facing my family's truths, no matter how painful? "You must first seek those who have been silenced," she replied, her voice slipping into a hauntingly beautiful melody. "Their stories are your guide, for they are tied to your fate." "What do you mean?" Margaret whispered, confusion etched across her features. "Pasts buried beneath the weight of shame can reshape the future. The guardians are not merely ghouls, they are reflections of lost voices, echoes that demand to be heard," Mary explained, her form shimmering with urgency. "They hold the keys to your liberation, but you'll need to dig deep." Tension coiled in my stomach as uncertainty lapped at the edges of my resolve. How do I begin to face such darkness? "Start with your family," Mary replied softly, "their trust in you is paramount. Rediscover the fragments they've hidden away, hints buried in old letters, forgotten trinkets, or even quiet conversations." Just as I was absorbing her words, a raucous laughter erupted from inside the tavern, pulling my attention from the shadow of despair. It was Thomas, trying to lighten the mood, oblivious to the grave conversation unfolding outside. He leaned against the doorway, brandishing a half-eaten bread roll with a mischievous grin. "Come on. What's taking you all so long? We need to celebrate surviving dives into Hades." His laughter was contagious, shivering through the cold air, and suddenly I was torn. Should I immerse myself in the camaraderie of the present or plunge deeper into the weighty echoes of the past? Mary's gaze deepened. You must choose, Sarah. You can pursue solace and revel in their company, or embark on a path that may lead to upheaval, but to healing. I stood at the crossroads of my fate, the shadows of fears and hopes intertwining in a chaotic waltz around me. With each heartbeat, I felt my blood thrumming with the weight of legacy. Could I step into the unknown, wield courage against what Mary had claimed awaited me? At that moment, beneath the flickering lights and the warmth cascading from the tavern, clarity illuminated my heart. Maybe I can begin with my family, I whispered, almost to myself. But it's going to take everything more than I ever knew I had. The smile that transformed Mary's features was the promise of a new dawn, fragile yet powerful. Remember, even stars are born from darkness. Let your light guide you. As she faded into the night, I felt a fresh resolve flooding my veins. I turned back to my friends, prepared to share the weight of my fears and the echo of our intertwined destinies, but before I could step inside, another shadow flitted across the street, slipping into the deeper shadows of the alley. Someone else was watching us, someone not an echo of the past but a real danger lurking in my present. Did you see that? I felt the cold grip of foreboding return. There's someone else here. My heart sank again, nerves clawing at my insides, the laughter from inside the tavern dulled, replaced by an ominous silence. It turned out not all shadows were tied to the history of my blood, some had their own weight to bear, their own intentions hidden behind a mask of familiarity. Gather close, Edward whispered, instinctively pulling us together. We're not alone. And I fear we're about to face something far darker than we anticipated. The night closed in, and as the shadows pooled around us, the promise of revelations weighed heavily on my heart, straining against the tides of uncertainty and pain. Our path forward was shrouded in darkness, and still I felt, somewhere deep within, the flicker of hope igniting once more, ready to burst into flame. The night was suffocating, a heavy cloak draped over our shoulders, and the air crackled with an intensity that seemed to mirror my racing heart. We clustered together, seeking comfort in each other's presence, yet every breath felt laced with dread. Faces emerged from the shadows, sharp and watchful, and for an instant unraveling histories dove beneath the surface, intertwining with my own unresolved fears. Would I be strong enough to face what lay ahead? Who are you? I called out, my voice trembling yet defiant. I wanted to confront whatever lay hidden beneath the veil of darkness threatening to consume us. The silence felt taut, like the pause before a storm, but then a voice emerged from that shroud of shadows. You've dared to awaken memories best left buried, it declared, rich with a condescending tone. My breath hitched. The figure stepped forward, emerging into the dim light cast from the tavern. Their features were obscured, but the authority of their stance sent a chill crawling along my spine. Are you prepared for the consequences of your curiosity? Why do you care? I shot back, though fear trembled in the pit of my stomach. You don't own the past. You're not the keeper of my blood. Ah, but I am, the figure replied, a twisted smile curling their lips. I am a guardian, a remnant of the darkness you've so foolishly disturbed. I exist because of your bloodline's choices, and now you must pay the price. I could feel Edward tightening beside me, a protective instinct radiating from him as Margaret's hand slipped into mine, grounding me amidst the rising tide of panic. You don't have to face this alone, Margaret whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Still, the words sounded like a promise, anchoring me in that stormy sea of fear. That I stepped closer, challenging the figure. No matter what darkness comes for me, I will pull the truth into the light. Maybe then I can break the cycle. The guardian laughed, a cold sound that sent shivers racing down my spine. Truth, child, is rarely a liberating silver. Truth is a weapon that cuts, and it cuts deep. Are you ready to expose your family's sins? To face the consequences of legacy brewing like storm clouds above you? An ember of defiance sparked within me. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to save my friends, my family. I don't shy away from the past. I will unearth it, confront it, and take control of my own destiny. The moment hung suspended, palpable, and for a breath I thought time itself held its breath. Then the figure's calm facade cracked, anger lighting their eyes as they stepped closer, shadows engulfing them like a predatory beast. "You may be the architect of your own destruction," they hissed, churning the whispers of the night into an ominous chorus. "Many have tried before you, and they have all failed. Then I will succeed," I asserted, finding strength within the tide of my emotions. "Mary may have lost her way, but I will not let history repeat itself." With renewed courage brewing inside me like a tempest, I lifted the obsidian chest, holding it tightly against my heart. I felt its energy pulsating in response, as if resonating with the determination that had become a growing force within me. The guardian sneered, but I wasn't afraid. "I hold the key to my future," I proclaimed, voice steady, resonating with the knowledge that the power lay within me. "In my hands lies the potential to rewrite this tale. If I am to face the horrors of my lineage, then so be it. I shall not shy away." "Fate is a construct of shadows," the guardian snarled, lunging toward me. But before they could reach out, a blinding light erupted from the chest. I felt it gather around me, illuminating the faces of my friends, the flicker of hope igniting into a blaze. The guardian recoiled in surprise and anguish. "No!" they shrieked, a sound of desperation clawing at the air. And in that moment of fear, I realized that they weren't the true enemy. They were a manifestation of all the fears I had yet to confront, the desolation, the shame buried beneath the weight of unspoken truths. With a deep breath filling my lungs, I let go of my fears, releasing them into the light that now enveloped us. "You cannot control me," I said, each word stripped of hesitation. "I choose my destiny." With those words, all at once the air crackled and surged forth, the shadows pulled back like a tide retreating. In that moment, the darkness that loomed around us began to unravel, revealing not just a husk of confinement but something luminous sweeping through the light of truth, coursing through my veins, flowing into the heart of each person standing with me. "What are you?" the guardian's voice faltered, their form flickering as if caught between realms. "Someone unafraid to face the complexities of what it means to love and to be loved, a seeker of truth willing to break the cycle," I declared, feeling the weight of history lift from my shoulders. With a final surge of courage, I reached into the chest, allowing the warmth of its energy to cradle my spirit. Inside, I grasped a shimmering key, a key unlike any other, shaped by the choices that had come before me, tinted by the colors of love and loss. "With this, I will unlock the door of those silenced stories." The guardian shrank back, shadows seeping away, and as they vanished into the night, I felt the cloak of their influence lift, replaced by the freedom that was my right. In that moment, I turned to face Edward, Margaret, Thomas, each of their expressions radiant with hope, hearts beating in harmony with mine. "If you're with me, we'll uncover the truth and harmonize it with our love," I said, tears welling in my eyes. Wordlessly, they nodded, drawing closer, forming a barrier of strength that encircled us like a fortress against the darkness we had just vanquished. And as I stepped back into the light of the tavern, the flickering warmth enveloped me like a cherished embrace, and I knew together we would confront the jagged edges of the past, together we would seal its wounds and reclaim our place not just as inheritors of a broken history, but as architects of our own fate. With trembling hands, I held the key aloft, its glow illuminating the hearts around me. "We face the truth together. And by doing so, we'll build a brighter legacy." As our laughter echoed in the welcoming embrace of the tavern, I knew we had emerged not just triumphant, but transformed. We reached toward a horizon flushed with possibility, a brand new dawn woven together by our collective stories, ready to continue shaping our shared destiny. Forgotten echoes of despair turned into a harmonious symphony of vibration felt deep within our hearts, for in the end, we are not simply tethered by the past, we are shaped by our choices, and together, we would redefine what it meant to move forward, forever anchored in the light of love. Together, I whispered, gaze fixed on the dawn painting the horizon in shades of hope. "We are free.